up New Orleans, 3 minutes past the top of the hour. Man, shout out and major concern in our prayers go out to our brothers and sisters in Florida.
Yeah.
Category 4, I mean, landfall with 140 mile an hour winds. I was trying to track it. I know I have people I know in Tampa, the Panhandle, and just 140 miles an hour, man. So I was trying to track it until I went to sleep last night. Hurricane Helene. So, I know it's making its way up toward through Georgia and then to Tennessee. So just in prayer that it says minimal destruction
Yeah.
and loss of life as possible. Last night when I went to bed, I know there were 3 people that I think power lines or trees or something, falling objects actually caused
They're dead.
their death. So we know that those of us here in New Orleans and Louisiana, you're in our thoughts and our prayers, no doubt about it. So
Yeah.
yeah. Also, Eric Anthony II, the DOT worker that was killed.
23 years
on his
old.
job, 23 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trying to do good.
Yeah. He was stopping to help a disabled vehicle,
Yeah.
and another vehicle came in and veered off of the main road and struck him. And I think that driver was 25 years old.
Yeah, and that's happened on the roadway so often. I know. I think we had 3 law officers and police men and women in the last couple years here that stopped on the interstate, on the road to help someone. And man, pay attention when you're driving. I mean, this cell phone thing or this driving while impaired thing is real.
Yeah. And I believe the guy that ran into the DOT worker, even when the police were interrogating him or questioning him, he fell asleep during the questioning. So he was still under whatever influence he was under. He fell asleep.
Wow.
So sad all the way around. 23 years old, dead, 25 years old, headed to prison.
Yeah, and well, hopefully a positive note, it'll end out positive. It'll end positively.
Yeah.
A lot of New Orleanians and Louisianians and Gulf Coasters are packing up to head to Atlanta.
Listen, and I mean, isn't the storm, the trajectory is headed that way as well? Like what?
Yeah, but hopefully by the time it gets that, you look, we're concerned about hurricanes and floods, but the Saints are playing.
The Falcons.
The Falcons.
I'm still going.
I
yeah,
think
that's
they'd
what they're saying.
stand in a puddle of water
To go see the Saints and the Falcons.
For the Saints to beat the Chickens.
Well, I'm going to watch them from the comfort of my home. I'm not going.
Yeah.
I'm not going storm chasing. It's not what I'm going to go do.
Oh no, not at all. So in the national election, it seems to be tightening up even more. Those battleground states, man. It's going to be interesting. So people, please. I think it's too late to register for the election. Or if it's not, but please register.
No, I think there's a few more days.
Okay, because I know some early voting has started.
Yeah, I think there's a few more days. We can look it up and clarify.
Some early voting has started, but register, go out to vote, and take some people with you. And not literally, but have your Rolodex. You got your phone.
Send a text.
Call folks. Send a text.
Let them know the polls are still open. Polls don't close at this time. Go get in the line.
Yeah.
And then we need to vote early if we're planning on doing something other than voting on election day. So vote early. Just take into account that life be life and things happen. Go vote.
Yeah, not like the governor's race.
Oh man, listen. And in other national news, Oliver, the 2019 death of Ronald Green, the prosecutors have thrown out the most significant charge in that case. So that all but guarantees that the troopers involved will not face any significant jail time. They threw out the negligent homicide charge for the trooper that was seen on camera dragging him by his ankle shackles before he stopped breathing. So that charge has been dismissed. So this all but guarantees that they won't face any significant
Marcellus Williams, Ronald Green,
jail time.
And just so many more. George Floyd years ago. It's just you would think that many of these actions that were caught on camera,
Yeah.
that have led to not a question about police brutality, but you can see it. Uh, what are you looking at? I remember who I think it was Richard Pryor or Eddie Murphy who said, "Who you believe, me or your lying eyes?"
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's on tape.
Yeah.
You ain't gotta believe either.
But what we've learned, even with tape, it's perspective and who's looking at it and how they're analyzing it and what loophole they can crawl through to exonerate themselves from what we've actually witnessed with our own eyes. And then to have so many layers of cover up after his death, I just don't know what more would have been needed to say this was a crime. His murder could have been prevented. And I mean, and then to have people, one of the troopers had a car accident where they say, he ran himself into a tree to avoid having to answer for what part he took in that situation. I mean, there was just so many layers of wrongdoing and cover up. I just can't see why this case is still lingering on in 2024.
Well, for the family of Ronald Green, for the family of anyone, especially with these abuse cases. So, I mean, but that's where the Justice Department
Yeah.
should come in
Yeah.
at the highest level. That's what you have federal intervention for. Federal intervention is when there's either doubt or wrongful actions at the state and local level.
So what
That's
happens
what the US,
when there's no reprieve on a federal level?
well, when you don't have the right people. at the
Right. That's
federal
why.
level.
That's why we need to vote. Right.
Yeah.
Vote
yeah,
often.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Our Surgeon General, Louisiana Surgeon General, Dr. Ralph Abraham, wasted no time telling state lawmakers that if he had led the state's public health response for COVID-19, he would have done everything differently. He says nearly every intervention attempted by the government has been ineffective,
Oh, that's a
counterproductive,
big statement.
and antithetical to the core principles of a free society. There wouldn't have been mass mandates. There wouldn't have been lockdowns. There wouldn't have been closures of churches,
But there would have been a lot of debt. Sound like
schools, and businesses. There would not have been coerced
What?
vaccinations and suppression or intimidation of those who resisted. Just a few examples of policies endorsed by the previous administration that the new Louisiana Surgeon General would have opposed. And he went on to say, we're extremely fortunate to have Governor Landry. We were to have Landry as Attorney General at that time to counter those tyrannical
so we see where
forces.
that's going.
Right.
Well, yeah, that sounds like somebody who would be against common sense gun laws because he's against common sense measures to keep us safe during a pandemic of the likes we've never seen before. Like you didn't even have a precedent for COVID-19 because it was something we had never seen before.
Well,
and
it's just
so
it's simple to me.
That's crazy.
It doesn't have to be that complicated, Dr. Abram. You have a virus that's making people sick.
yes.
You take precautions against the virus.
Yes. And if something as simple as you wearing a mask can help you and I stay safe,
Right.
then what's tyrannical about that?
Right.
I don't know. I
Ah.
don't know. I don't know. It just sounds like he's just disagreeing because
Well-
he's on the other side
well,
of the aisle.
Well, it sounds like they don't just want to purge the voter rolls; they want to purge the planet.
Look at me trying to hit the bell,
They want to purge,
and not the
Purge.
whole planet, the colorful part of the planet,
Purge.
and not the whole planet.
purge the planet.
Hunger
Uh,
Games.
Well, we got a treat today. One of the leading historians on African American history in this country, who's a resident professor over at Southern University of New Orleans, Dr. Clyde Robinson. He'll be in studio to talk about election 2024, getting the younger generation involved in this country's politics. So that'll be a great discussion, guys. And look, if you're hitting the road to head to the ATL to go watch the Saints play the Pigeons, be careful. Be careful.
Yeah. So let me tell you what happened to me yesterday, Oliver.
Uh-oh.
I have a dog. Her name is Nola, right?
Uh-huh.
And we've had Nola almost 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so I haven't been feeling well, and I have a new medication, and I took my medicine. I let Nola out. My house is gated,
Okay.
so I let her out.
Right.
And and I have cameras on my home. So after I panicked, looking all over her, walking the neighborhood, driving the neighborhood, I was like, let me look at the camera to see where she went. And I'm watching my puppy dig and dig and dig. She was digging for at
Hold
least.
on, I don't want to cut you off,
Uh huh.
but Nola 11, she ain't no puppy no more.
Well, yeah, because she's still so little. She's only
Okay.
7 pounds. So as I call her, she's
Lord.
she's so tiny.
I could put her on
Absolutely.
on a sandwich.
Yeah. Well, we're not gonna do that. They're gonna have you on the news for eating dogs and cats. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. And so I watched her dig, and she got out. So I have different angles. So I'm swapping cameras, and I'm watching her.
Right.
And she got out. And because I wasn't feeling well, because I took the medicine, I didn't know she was out there. And so shout out to the WBOK listening audience, because the moment I posted her and said that she was missing, several of our listeners, avid listeners, shared it, and somebody found a lady that had actually had my dog. And it took me 5 or 6 hours to find her, but about 1 o'clock, I got her back. 1 a.m. I got her back.
That's good.
Because I was crying. My son was crying. It was I cried.
How did she get out?
Because she
dug.
Yes, because my house is fully gated.
Yeah.
She found the one spot. I'm watching her walk around trying to figure out how to get out. And one side had a brick in front of it, so she went to the other side and she just dug. And she scooted her little body under the gate. I watched her do it.
Did she tell you where she was going?
No, she
did
did
she
not.
tell you did she tell you what his name was?
No, that's what I'm trying to figure out, because she was too determined to get out of
Did
there.
she tell you what his name was?
But I wanted to thank.
She found a soft
I wanted
spot
to
in
thank the
fence.
WBOK listeners and
Absolutely.
and Facebook. This page called West Bank Lost and Found. That's where the lady posted my dog, and she took really good care of her while she was in her care for those few hours. But I went to her house like 12:30 last night to go get my dog.
Well, Dr. Wyatt, that's why you had this glee and smile on your face. You found those.
I found, because I had to.
That's
I
good.
heard Cameron crying, and I was like, I'm not going to bed until I find my baby.
You like my sister with her with her little mini dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now we have a whole different routine. I'm not just letting her out in the yard anymore. I'm going out there with her. And you're going to have to do your business and hurry up so I can bring you back inside. Because my son was crying, and I was like, oh no, I got to find her.
But what about Rover, who was calling her?
I don't know who coaxed her to come from under that gate.
Who had them put out that roof?
She was determined. I should show you the video. She was like, I'm talking about, she just was digging.
She was looking for that spot.
And she was.
Yeah.
That's what my friend Miss Lewis said. She said, "Now what dog she was going look at." She was trying.
Who?
Now she not going back out there by herself.
Oh, Nola. Bought in camera.
You know, lost that privilege. Yeah, I thank God for the cameras, because
no doubt about it.
I watched her. I watched everything, and that's what I told the lady. I said, "Ma'am, I watched everything that took place on the cameras."
And so the lady lives in your neighborhood?
No.
She had ventured off.
She left. She was at her home in Terrytown. I live in Harvey. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And so I went and got her.
Yeah, Nola was doing long distance.
Yeah.
Long distance. Nola got a long distance.
Yeah, she was like, I can bring her to you tomorrow. And I'm like, no, I'm going to come get her tonight.
Right.
Yeah. But shout out to her, though. She took really good care of her.
Absolutely. Thank
and
you,
Miss
ma'am.
Patricia Sereno, she posted.
Yeah.
Sandra Muhammad,
Yeah.
she posted. Those are WBOK listeners.
Yes, they are.
So that speaks to the connectivity we have here. They were helping me find my dog.
But, I've experienced that before. I never forget, I put out a call when my mom's air conditioning system went out several years ago, and Big Sad, who's a caller and a listener, he was like, hey, man, we got it, right? And it wasn't something that was major.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, man, especially when the AC people are people, Lord, when they come out now, it's hundreds of dollars just to
yes,
look at
indeed. And so much about the AC systems have changed.
Yeah.
Because the units I had when I first purchased my home, when my AC went out, they had some sort of upgrade. So they had to do all of this work that I wasn't accounting for. I'm just like, what do you call it? Put some stuff in it and let it work. That's me. The woman talking, they're like, no, the whole system has to be updated.
Yeah. Put some of that stuff.
But that's village work. You know what I mean? That's community.
The listening audience here is, and I tell people all the time, it's been such a blessing to me, the information, learning, listening, sharing, and understand that you got to be intentional about getting up in the morning and listening to information about life.
Absolutely. Consistently getting up
Consistently.
every morning, listening to this information.
Consistently.
Yes.
That's absolutely correct.
And so I'm just grateful I got her back. I wasn't going to rest.
yeah.
That's the first thing I told Naira when I walked in this. I said, guess what happened to me? Because I was distraught.
Nola back home.
Nola is back home. And I keep trying to tell people that's the closest we're going to get to Nola is my puppy. We from New Orleans.
Yeah. Other than that, no, I can see naming an object Nola, but this ain't Nola.
This is not Nola.
This New Orleans,
even Nola
baby.
from New Orleans.
Yeah.
Even Nola is from New Orleans.
This is
she is from New Orleans. Yeah.
New Orleans, baby.
Yeah.
Well, oh man, it's gonna be an interesting weekend. Hoping, especially people in Florida, make out okay.
Yeah, we got to pray for them.
Yeah, and then of course, as much as we care about the tragedy, it would be even more tragic if the Saints lose to the Falcons.
Yeah.
You know.
And look, your organization, the group you're representing as King now, they put out a big, massive call for all culture bearers. So shout out to the Sixth Ward Steppers.
Man,
they put out a massive call asking all presidents and leadership from the Associated Pleasure Clubs. They're working on something. I'm excited to see what they come up with.
Well, the cultural community is coming back together.
Yes.
And some of it, I'll never forget talking to Jock Morial years ago and Lola Seeley about that. It was a long time ago, about the efforts to water down our culture, water down our demographic, and flip the city. I think it's when this gentrified efforts started. And what we're seeing now from culture bearers is that, hey, hold on a second, we don't mind other people participating.
They remember they were from New Orleans.
But not replacing.
Absolutely. So shout out to Kim Charbonnet over there, the Sixth Ward Steppers.
Charlie Brown.
Yeah, Charlie Brown. I think it's a wonderful initiative, whatever they're working on. I know it has to be great.
Yeah. Tamara, Nikita
Anytime
Shavers.
you can unify, yes.
Yeah, there's a strategic effort.
Yes.
Now, man, I saw my cousin Romeo, who's 9 Ward Hunters, my big cousin, Big Chief Rudy Bocage just passed on.
Yeah.
Robert Stark, Big Nine, 9 times Desire. I am seeing the clubs be so spectacular, man.
I mean, the lights you've never seen.
The tradition is
bigger
back
and better.
and so strong.
Yes.
Yeah,
there's something in the water here that can't be explained.
Yeah.
And when we get it, we get it.
And it's back to what it was before. I tell folks, people forget, I was king of the buck jumpers back in the day. And the buck jumpers had 20,000. Come on. It was like a Zulu parade route. And that started to die, started to be challenged by people, they didn't want to come into our neighborhood. Well, you moved in the neighborhood where it was
already
at,
coming
right?
through, yeah.
But I'm seeing that tradition now come back in all of the splendor.
Yes.
What people didn't realize is that New Orleans, and my uncle had the magazine until he died in two storms. Storms took so much of our memorabilia. New Orleans was in Vogue magazine as one of the top, talking about people got dressed here. People here, and my mama used to tell me how
they put it on, huh, Oliver?
During the Mardi Gras and parades, Dr. Wyatt, she said they would put on their best clothes, their high heels, their purses, their gloves, and go walk slow in front of Rex.
Yeah, slow, because you got to see this.
We got to go to break, man. We got to go to break, and when we come back, Dr. Clyde Robinson, man, and a whole lot more. WBOK, 12:30 a.m. Dr. Wyatt, no T. Whose station?
It's our station, because that's what New Orleans is talking about.
We'll be back, guys, after the break.
I'm Leo Jackson, host of Sunday Gospel here every Sunday morning, 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. and 12 o'clock till 2 p.m. You don't want to miss this move of God. It happens only on WBOK. You listen to all day long.
Discover the Leah Chase School, NOLA Public School's first new direct-run traditional public school in nearly 2 decades. We offer excellence in math, science, English, and social studies, focusing on unlocking every child's potential. Every scholar receives a personal device, regular assessments, clear family communication, as well as transportation services in a nurturing arts-inclusive environment. Secure your child's K through 5th grade slot today. Apply at EnrollNOLAPS.com and embark upon a unique educational journey.
New Orleans Burlesque is back. The Red Light District, located on the second floor of your New Orleans headquarters by Nice Guys, presents a captivating, international, award-winning burlesque experience that will leave you breathless. Indulge in the sounds of our Grammy Award-winning quartet and exceptional food pairings each and every Saturday. To purchase tickets, visit Eventbrite.com, and remember, what happens in the Red Light District stays in the Red Light District.
WBOK and LCMC Health are proud to present the Keeping You Well Cafe, 60 minutes of LCMC Health, where doctors speak directly to the people of New Orleans. LCMC Health is committed to improving the quality of healthcare in the New Orleans area, the Gulf South, and beyond. The Keeping You Well Cafe is another way for LCMC Health to engage with the community. Over the next few months, LCMC Health will join WBOK and local businesses to answer your health and wellness questions. Through this partnership, LCMC Health will provide resources to the community, including subject matter experts from the hospitals that will share expertise on health concerns and wellness practices to help you live your best life. Tune in to WBOK during the last hour of the reality check, or catch us at lcmchealth.org and follow us on social media.
Greetings, WBOK family. This is Jason Clark, host of United Way and You. Be sure to tune in next Thursday at 12 p.m. when we'll be speaking with Melanie Richardson, co-founder and executive director of Training Grounds, a United Way funded partner. The topic will be the We Play, We Connect Family Resource Hub. Please tune in if you're able. Until then, we only have one life to live, so live united.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana communities through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation, please visit us at www.jazzandheritage.org.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK 1230 AM.
The top of the hour. Y'all know it's Dr. Shanta White. Or maybe you can call it Dr. A-Dub, right? OT, the early bird Nyron on the box. And now we got Dr. Clyde Robertson in the studio, man, the Center for African and African American Studies at the Millie M. Charles School of Social Work and Student Government Association and the Lyceum at SUNO and all what else? And at Southern University of New Orleans. And one of the leading, and I said before he came here, one of the leading voices on African-American studies and our place in history here in America, Dr. Clyde Robinson.
Thank you, my brother. It's a pleasure being here. Sister Wyatt.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
I see you at the Etna Car football game.
Listen, I'm an Etna Car cougar.
I know you are.
Now you're talking.
So Dr. Rob, man, Dr. Wyatt and I have a custom here, even before we get into what the issues are and the topics are. How you doing, man? How's family?
Doing well. Thank God.
Good.
Doing well.
Good.
Doing well.
Well, you look well.
Oh, thank you, my sister.
Yeah, yes, you do. So talk to us about the Center for African and African American Studies first, and set the table for our discussion here about this 2024 Vote Is Your Life Depends on It rally.
The Center for African and African American Studies dates back to 1989. One of the earliest directors was the great Charles Fry. Mm-hmm. Brother Fry was teaching and researching at an Ivy League school, and he determined that he needed to make a greater difference, and so the position at SUNO became available. Mm-hmm. Now, I think he was at Harvard. Mm-hmm. One of those large Ivy League schools, the Muckety Mucks.
Yeah.
And so he applied for the job, and of course, wisely, he was hired. I started working with him when I was in the school district, the director for the Department of African American Studies at that same time, 1989.
Does the school district still have it?
No.
Oh,
That was one of the first
wanted to get that
casualties.
out. I just wanted to get that out.
That was one of the first
Bad bell.
casualties. That was after Katrina.
Right.
It was one of the first casualties.
Right.
But I was working very closely with him. Sister Vera Warren was the president of the board
Right.
of advisors, and he was stricken with cancer and died quite quickly. So he was only at SUNO maybe about 4 years, but he set up the foundation so much so that our principal African American History Month activity is named after him.
Oh, wow.
The Charles Fry Memorial Lecture. And he was then replaced by our very own Dwight Webster.
Yes.
And then after Dwight left the position, it was replaced by Brother Ajaga, Ramanos Ajaga, out of Nigeria. And he went back home, and then I was hired. I came in from Tuskegee.
And let me say, shout out to you. COVID, there was so much disconnection during COVID, but what you did was masterful, right, in terms of the Zooms, connecting black folk around this country and around this state. Why was it important to you to continue those discussions about the roles black folk play? Because you could have kind of taken off and done your thing and waited for COVID to pass. But, man, many of those lectures, many of those series were real vital in keeping that conversation about our role and the issues dealing with black folk important.
In fact, you had a major part to play in those, OT.
Yeah.
It was important to continue the discussion because those things which prompted the discussions continued. Life continued.
Right.
Despite the fact that we were quarantined. And so it was important for us to continue to impact upon our community, which is primarily African American. And one of the hallmarks of those programs is that they still exist. Mm-hmm. You could still access them on YouTube. And the topics were evergreen,
right,
as pertinent now as they were then. So it was important for us to continue the discussion because those things which, as I stated, prompted the discussions, those things existed.
So what's going to be different about this rally? What are some of the, I know when Dr. Clyde Robinson does something, he usually puts a cut on it, whether you're a featured speaker or whether there's a topic. But this rally, themes, messages, get out the vote, it's kind of standard. What y'all gonna do different, Doc?
Well, remember the title is Vote as if your life depends on it, because this election, it does. Our very lives depend on our being knowledgeable about the issues. Because I'm a state employee, I am not able, at my place of employment, to be partisan. But what we can do is inform the attendees about the importance of this election. And so it is our job, it is our responsibility to provide an opportunity for the attendees of this event to be knowledgeable about and informed about and educated about the issues that are directly impacting them, and then vote accordingly. And do what is necessary to sustain and enable you to thrive, not just survive. We've survived long enough. We have to start thriving.
Yeah, because we've been overcoming enough. We need to overcome. So I absolutely agree. So can you walk us through the planned activities or events at the rally?
Well, it's a pep rally. So we are going to be working with the Martin Luther King Charter School ensemble. They have a large band. We can't accommodate everybody, but a small portion of their band will be there to fire people up. Our cheerleaders, the SUNO cheerleaders, a competitive squad, I might add, will be there to encourage folk to fire folk up. And then, of course, we've all heard Congressman Carter speak. Very compelling voice, dynamic, bearer of good news and bad when necessary. And so he will be there to talk about the significance of what is occurring around us and talk about the specifics of Project 2025 and its potential impact on us. And we have to recognize that different areas of Project 2025 are being enacted as we speak.
Oh, absolutely. Specifically in the state of
That's
Louisiana.
Right. That's right.
Yes, sir.
Louisiana, Texas,
Yes.
Mississippi, Florida.
Yes.
The usual cast of characters.
Yes.
And so we also invite, I go through great measures to involve our school children. And so we have Warren Easton attending. We have the Net School attending. We have a number of schools. As I stated, Warren Easton. We have a number of schools and high school age youngsters who will be there, some of whom are voting age.
Yes.
And so we're going to be exposing them and introducing them to those areas and items that impact upon their lives, and working closely with their teachers post this experience to continue the conversation.
So you mentioned that some of them are voting age. What are some strategies do you believe are most effective in engaging college students in the voting process?
Well, one, getting people registered to vote. Many of the high schools that will be attending have already had their voter registration drives. In fact, one of the schools, I think it's Warren Easton, every one of the students who will be attending will be registered.
Oh, that's a bell.
Will be registered. I think that's Warren Easton. I'm working very closely with their principal, with their librarian, Sister Milner. With regards to SUNO, there have been voter registration drives since the beginning of school. The Deltas have initiated, the AKAs had one on campus not long ago, the sororities. And so getting them involved in the registration process is significant. And then encouraging the professors at SUNO post this event going into the election to continue the conversations in class. And having programs like this. We had a program similar to this about a month ago, a little under a month ago.
So how do you shape those conversations, especially given, and you stated earlier, you did your disclaimer, you're a state employee, it's a state public institution. You can't talk about who. So how do you shape those conversations?
We talk about what?
And the implications of that what?
The implications of that what? We talk about what? We talk about what is impacting and what has been impacting us and what will continue to impact us until we impact upon those items impacting us.
So Dr. Rob, Dr. White and I have talked about this before. I've talked about it on Ratsback as late as last weekend on the Sigma panel. Those old conversations we used to use about shaming young folk to vote, and my daddy walked a mile and people hung. Those conversations don't work anymore, and
No.
I've never heard you use them. But what kind of conversations should we be having to encourage and implore people to vote?
We need to look at mass incarceration.
Okay.
These issues that are impacting our community directly now. I don't know a youngster. I know when we were growing up, Sister Wyatt is a young, dynamic sister. She's a little younger than we are.
Yes, she is.
When we were growing up, I doubt seriously if we did not know folk who hadn't been going to Paris, to Paris, what we used to call the parish.
Right.
Paris prison,
And then
Angola.
Right.
The economy. What's happening to your parents? What conversations are happening in your homes concerning the economy, concerning job insecurity, neighborhood sustenance, these kinds of things that these young people are experiencing in their own lives. The high and by and what could happen in the future, many times they don't see. But they do see things. Their boots are on the ground with regards to economy, with regards to employment, with regards to safety in their communities. As I stated, mass incarceration and police abuse and brutality. And so dealing with the issues that impact upon them and explaining to them how they can impact upon those situations. That's how, in my humble estimation, we involve young people in these discussions.
And I think we also need to bring back civics, because a lot of them don't even understand the who, what, when, where, and how of the government anymore, because we're stripping the education components away from them. How do we get away from civics? The same way we got away from script writing. They don't even know how to sign a signature. They're printing everything.
And everything is minuscule.
Yes.
And if you have my vision,
you can't see it.
I was in the school system when, in my humble estimation, things went south. We took a left turn. Throughout the United States, in the 1980s, 1990s, we started to, in quotes, not leave children behind.
Yes.
Leave no child behind legislations, which encouraged states to impose upon their populations standardized tests.
Yes.
In the case of Louisiana, it was LEAP. The situation involving LEAP was very, very important and all-encompassing. I was the director for the Department of Africana and Multicultural Studies at that particular time, and all efforts went towards the LEAP. And that's when we lost civics.
Yeah.
That's when we lost history, the discussion of history. That's when everything went to passing a test.
Yes.
And our children really lost, we lost a great opportunity to truly educate our young people. And that has continued to today.
And then the more dangerous thing is, we've gotten away from civics, and now they're making an effort to get away from the social studies altogether.
There's no question.
Yes.
In fact, right now, what's dangerous is that many of these states have made it illegal to discuss issues that will make certain populations uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The state of Louisiana is one of them. You cannot talk about critical race theory.
Which we never did in a K-12 setting.
Anyway,
yes.
In the K-12. Inclusion. Now, teachers run the risk of losing their jobs and ending their careers. So we are moving further away from real education. But here's the key. There were always schools that continued to educate their populations. The Ben Franklins of the world. The other schools
the
that
Willow
are
School,
the
Lusher.
Willow, which was Lusher, they continue to educate their populations. These rules and regulations only impacted upon the schools that educated black children and poor black children. The teachers became more restricted. The offerings became narrowed. And our children became one-sided, became cyclopses, looking at one test as a litmus relative to their knowledge. And the state would then promote them or retain them based upon that narrow view. And very many of our children, when they go to college, have problems competing because of this narrow view.
Because they're not taught to be critical thinkers.
That's
Either
right.
they're just taught to regurgitate,
Respond.
pass a test, and
That's right.
and that is it. And then on top of having the narrow focus on testing, you took away our educators who actually had the skill set. That's another layer of it.
And there was something else that occurred that was catastrophic. And it occurred in 2005. It's Hurricane Katrina.
Let's talk. Now he has my undivided attention.
That's
Come on,
Hurricane
doctor.
Katrina. OTU asked me if that unit that was created, not by me, it was created prior to my arrival. That was Department of African and Multicultural Studies. Still exists? No. It doesn't exist because the powers that be at that particular time wrested the school system away from the community and put it under the auspices of the state. And the state started dictating. People from the remote parishes started dictating what was going to be the agenda for education in the city of New Orleans.
Yes.
And Africology was not one.
That they also rejected for their own parishes. They don't want it there, but they wanted it here. Yes.
Yeah. The whole charter system.
Yes.
Which, as you stated, Sister Wyatt, does not exist.
Does not exist in any other
To the
parish.
extent to which it does here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's Friday, y'all, and we have Dr. Clyde Robinson in the house, 504-582-9422. This effort to encourage our younger voting age citizens to vote, the rally, October 1st at 10 a.m. at Southern University of New Orleans. One of our speakers is going to be Congressman Troy Carter. Man, great conversation today. Give us a call, join in. How do we, what else do we have to do to encourage young people to vote? What other stories do we have to tell them? You know, what other conversations do we have to have with them? What are your ideas? Share them with Dr. Wyatt and OT and Dr. Clyde Robinson. We'll be back after the break.
This is your news update for WBOK 1230 AM from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Today is another breezy day. Wind speeds will be 10 to 15 miles per hour, but at least it'll be feeling good. Winds coming out of the north. We'll also stay dry for the next several days. Highs today will be into the mid-80s, and we'll see upper 80s for the weekend. Also, the weekend going to feel amazing, as well as dew points are still on the low side. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Moments like my daughter telling me a new joke mean a lot to me. But after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC, which is breast cancer that is spread to other parts of the body, they mean even more. I take Ibrance, palbociclib.
Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative NBC as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
Welcome back to school, families and scholars. NOLA Public Schools is excited to kick off another exciting year of learning, growth, and success. Our dedicated teachers have been preparing all summer to provide an engaging and enriching experience for every student. Let's embrace new challenges, celebrate achievements, and make this school year the best one yet. Stay connected with your school and NOLA PS by visiting our social media channels. Here's to a year filled with curiosity, creativity, and community. Attend today, achieve tomorrow.
Fostering futures since 1957, Benjamin Franklin High School celebrates diversity and respects the individuality of each student. A 5-time Blue Ribbon school, Benjamin Franklin offers dozens of AP and dual enrollment courses, as well as a wide variety of sports and more than 80 clubs. Benjamin Franklin High School invites you to their open house Thursday, October 10th from 5:30 to 8 p.m. Visit www.bfhsla.org to learn more.
Welcome to Liberty Bank and Trust, where your financial journey transforms communities. Since 1972, our customized banking solutions power your dreams and fuel your community growth. Every dollar you invest with us circles back to empower more people, ensuring opportunities for generations. Join us at Liberty Bank. Together, we empower possibility. Visit libertybank.net to start banking with purpose. Liberty Bank, there's freedom here.
Ochsner Health knows that making your health a priority is key to staying active. Join Ochsner Health, Johnson & Johnson, and community partners for a free event focusing on Black men's health. Get screenings for blood pressure, glucose, cholesterol, and prostate cancer. Plus, join candid conversations with health experts about men's sexual health and well-being. This event is Saturday, September 28th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Marrero Community Center at 1861 Ames Boulevard. Be proactive, stay active.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK 1230 AM.
We are back. OT, Dr. Wyatt, Dr. Rob. Oh, man, the election pep rally at Southern University, sponsored by the Center for African and African American Studies. And we got a caller, 504-582-9422. What are your ideas about, I know Dr. Rob and Southern University is having this rally on October the 1st at 10 a.m., but do you have a word, a conversation, something that you think we could offer to young folk to inspire them to vote? Share that with us right here at WBOK, 504-582-9422. Line number 1, Big Don out of Houston. You're on with Dr. Rob.
Dr. Rob, R-O-B-B or something?
Dr. Rob's son. I just call him that because I've been knowing him my whole life.
Like Jackie.
Yeah.
Good morning, Don.
Yes, and good morning to the good doctors, Dr. Robinson, and of course, Dr. Wyatt. Dr. Wyatt.
Good morning,
and Wyatt Earp. She's a bad sister, okay? And I want to ask you guys a question. Get up the nickels and dimes. Big Chief won't drink some wine. Yeah, the Big Chief said, get up the nickels and dimes, right? And so I'm asking you, good doctors, what time are y'all doctors? How long? What time of day are y'all doctors?
What time?
24/7.
All right then. So learning is 24/7.
That's
it's
right.
not just within the confines and the social constructs of a political organization. For instance, Teddy Rowe. You ever heard Teddy Rowe from Galliano, Louisiana, who went up to Chicago and the policy king went up against Al Capone, and now we call it the state lottery. The institutionalized the policy kings. So what I'm proposing to any community is, I grew up in a neighborhood where we had 3 educators, okay, teachers, public school teachers. We had business owners. We had postal workers. We had all skilled craftsmen, okay? And so we learned more out of the formal social construct of what we deem as education. That's not education. That is a clearinghouse. We get public, the governmental part of education as an educational center. No, it is a clearinghouse. It's where you go and you justify your learning ability and your ascertainment of a certain level of testing to get through the maze we call education. Education happens all around us all day, every day. And what our young people we want to reconnect with our young people is education is not in a building. It is in your neighborhood. It is within your family, history, your community, your business, the small business owners, the neighborhood corner store, the dry cleaners. All of these will provide you an education and an economic background to where you will understand your importance in a family and in a community. You earn the right to be a PhD, not based on a criteria on other people's metrics, but on your desire to have the ability to give back to your community at any time, at any place. I learned my best reading in Sunday school. My best reading, I learned to read in public or out loud in Sunday school, not in first or second grade.
Yeah, that Bible
I'm not knocking it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying we have to understand the community is our learning center. You're either going to learn how to shoot dice in the boys' bathroom and smoke cigarettes and hanging out.
Give me that ball, that point. CIX. That's my 6, 3 on each side. My pot. Don, So what do you think we ought to do in terms of this voter rally? And do you have a formula for getting more young people to vote?
Of course, because it's all about the young people. Voting is about your future, your vision of the future. And that's what I just said. It's what we tend to think that because you're 16 or you're 12, that you have no life experiences. And they have plenty of life experiences. They just have to learn how to formulate it. Yeah. And that's where our very well-educated PhDs help these young people to learn how to formulate what their experience has been at 10. Why are you taking care of your 4 and 6-year-old siblings at 10 years old because your parents have to work? That's a unique experience that we have to let the young people know. You're not strange. You're not alone. You're part of a wider community. And here's some solutions that you can tap into to help alleviate some of those issues where you still can be a child and step into your young adulthood in a way that you go in armored and understanding that you're not strange. You're part of a wider community. And I always felt that being from New Orleans, I was part of a wider community.
No doubt about it.
Not a narrow community.
Thank you, Big Don. That's right. I mean, encouraging younger people to believe that they're part of the system, part of I can see that approach would be encouraging.
And Don is so smart because he had me thinking about we don't earn doctorate degrees to call ourselves doctors.
Right.
We earn doctorate degrees so we can educate our communities and help uplift our communities.
Absolutely.
So the information that we ascertain from where we go, we take it back to the places where we come from and share it out. And I think just education, as always, is always going to be the thing that levels this playing field.
Well, the line's on fire. Go ahead, make your comment, then we'll go to the line.
And Brother Don was absolutely correct. We cannot operate in silos, so it's just not the education department where education takes place solely.
It has to come into the community.
He hearkened me back to my childhood when my parents had school after school.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, the Africana information that I started gathering in the 60s.
Right.
It was not at Dunn Elementary School or St. Gabriel. It was at home.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, as he talked about it, when I was in Cub Scouts, my Cub Scout troop, my den mother had a den mother, Miss Barnes.
Right.
We had to read. We went to Cub Scouts. We learned the knots and the other things that you had. But we also read at Cub Scout meetings.
But that brings me to another point. And Reverend Calhoun, hold on. We're going to get you after the break because we're about to go to break. But that gets me to another point, especially that goes with what Don said. Here we are worrying about how do we encourage folk to vote because it's the most important election of our time, right? Well, what about those efforts to shape them to get them to that point? Look, all it had to, when I turned 18, it was just about my mama saying, you know what you got to go do, right?
Yeah.
It had been shaped in those conversations in the house, at the church, in the school already. So it wasn't they didn't need no rally to encourage me to go vote. And I think that's what you're saying.
It was part and parcel
an effort
of
already.
It was at Nord. It was in our homes. It was in our
Jerome
neighborhood.
Smith, right?
Big Duck with tambourine and fan. That's right.
But to
Tambourine
his
and
point
fan.
too, the church as well. I remember going to Sunday school at Ebenezer Baptist Church, and that was just a staple there. Like the mothers of the church, like they're gonna slide you that little pep, but you better be paying attention when the people get up there and tell you how important it is to activate your civic duties and responsibilities.
So, so Dr. Robinson, in the 30 seconds before we go to break, do we see some of those systems of things coming back? Now, only 30% of our kids are growing up in a household with a responsible adult in the black community.
Say that again.
Only 30%.
And they talking about parents.
And they're talking about parents, right? So this effort to shape the kids, I want you to think about that as we begin to message them, right? It used to come from the house, from the church, from the Cub Scout, the Boy Scout, the Girl Scout, the school, the Sunday school. But many of those units aren't there anymore, right? So
by design.
But by design. Hold on to that. We'll get Reverend Calhoun in his conversation about some of the things we need to do. But hold on to that thought. All right? Especially as a historian. That and a whole lot more. Dr. Wyatt, Dr. A. Dub, OT. EB, Early Bird. NS, Nyron Sanders.
Holding it down.
WBOK.
What New Orleans is always talking about.
Back after the break.
WBOK 1230 AM New Orleans. Home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Vice President Harris is scheduled to visit the southern border today for the first time since she became the Democratic nominee for president. Former President Trump is criticizing Harris's visit. He said she could have fixed the border issues as vice president. The International Longshoremen's Association is threatening to go on strike unless there's a new contract. Analysts say it could be the most disruptive walkout to the United States economy in decades. More than 1 million people are without power in Florida after Hurricane Helene made landfall Thursday night. That's according to tracking site PowerOutages.us. The overall total in the Southeast is around 2 million, as tens of thousands of customers in Georgia and the Carolinas are also without power. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Celebrating hardworking teachers of New Orleans Public Schools is what we do best. Join New Schools for New Orleans, Allstate, Sugar Bowl, and Integy New Orleans in recognizing and celebrating the Teachers of the Year at our 3rd annual New Orleans Excellence in Teaching Awards Gala. If you want to check out the awardees in the schools where they teach at, please visit Noeta, Noeta.org. You can also purchase tickets to the gala via the website too. Let's send these teachers some love for all the hard work they do with our students.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK 1230 AM.
We're back. Hey, wait till they tape some of these off-air conversations and put them online. Dr. Rob, well, let me say, Dr. Clyde Robertson.
No, I'm Dr. Rob.
Is
Dr.
in the house, and we're going to go to Reverend Dr. Calhoun. Reverend Calhoun, you're on with Dr. Clyde Robertson.
Good morning to all.
Good morning, Reverend.
Good morning, Reverend.
First thing I like to say is, why don't we go back to things that work?
Yeah, that's part of my question for Dr. Robertson when we get to the to the meat of the conversation. So thanks. Set the table for us, Reverend Calhoun.
So Dr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Is it illegal for a 5th grade teacher to speak to her class concerning the 2025 project?
Well, by right of Louisiana law, yes, you cannot bring that sort of thing into the schoolhouse. Yes, it is illegal.
So then, do we need to at some point have an after-school conversation with our 5th graders so that they can go home and ask their mother and their father, do they know about what's going on with the 2025 project?
Yeah.
Because what I learned is that a lot of things change when the children start asking the adults questions.
Absolutely.
All right. The seatbelt thing. We didn't do seatbelts until our children would tell us, "Say, my mama, put your seat, Daddy, put your seatbelt on." And my point being is,
even throw that trash in the ground when they would do the litter stuff. At school, I remember Willow and Ollie coming home saying, "No, pick that up.
Yeah,
something dropped."
Right.
Good point, Reverend Calhoun.
So at some point, we have to get our children to get involved with trying to motivate our adults to do or get involved with what's going on around them. We have a real issue today with the de-education, lack of a better word. I wanted to call it so I can make up a word.
With Dr. Rob, he'll clean that up.
Yeah.
But here's what I'm saying. Unless we get our children to actually speak to our adults about the issues, talking to them to the issue, that's not going to work. You got to get them involved with the issue and get them to see what is actually going to happen in terms of their future, because we have a real issue. And I don't think people understand that Louisiana is the prototype for 2025. We live in 2025 and 2024
Yeah, I
with
think Dr. White
your
established
friend up
that
there.
a couple of weeks ago when we first started talking about that. It's already in play.
Yes.
Yeah, it's in play.
Thank you, Reverend Calhoun,
It's
as
in play.
always, man.
And to his point, you run the risk. Teachers run the risk of, if you talk about Project 2025, of what they consider electioneering, because you're going to have to choose a side in the approach and how you teach it. So you just stay away from it. But that's all the more reason why civics ought to be a part of the conversation in terms of academia, because if there was a civics course, then you can talk about this because it goes along with the curriculum. But to just introduce it in a space as such as Louisiana, where they're eliminating all of that, they can run the risk of being fired.
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
to kids
yeah.
about the election.
So how do we revisit things that work if they don't exist anymore?
School after school. I think I was broaching the point before the break. My parents, both educators back in the day, saw fit to, understood clearly what my brother and I were not getting. And so they created a system whereby we would get that which they knew we needed to be whole human beings in this world. As I was stating, I belonged to a small Cub Scout troop in Pontchartrain Park, which was led by a lady named Mrs. Barnes. She too incorporated reading and discussions into our protocol. I think we have to do what was done. Sister Wyatt, you said it. Brother O.T., you said it. I think someone else said it who called in. The churches have to be involved. The temples have to be involved. The mosques have to be involved with providing, the houses have to be involved. If in the African spiritual community, have to be involved in truly educating our children beyond what the indoctrination our children are receiving in the K-12 school system. It's a community thing. I can remember at Pontchartrain Park playing ball. We would be rewarded if we were able to show a report card that showed achievement. We were rewarded. We were lauded, not just for the tackles and the touchdowns and the home runs and the championship track program.
Tambourine fans,
Tambourine
program,
fans
books and balls.
is exactly
You had to have
it.
a library card.
The
if you were on
quintessential
the team.
example. Quintessential example, what Big Doug did in Treme. So, and which impacted the entire city. In fact, changed Nord. I remember when they protested the Jamboree and shut it down.
Right.
So that kind of activism, teaching children from as early as you could reach them, knowing that the schoolhouse will provide them with only so much.
I want to throw this in, man, because you're invoking so much memory here, Doc. I did Dr. Flint Mitchell's play, The Other Black History. We performed it at Ashe. And it was a rewrite where I played a teacher who kept getting fired because he kept trying to teach Black history, right? So I would get in trouble for having these sessions where I would give the real history of what Black people were doing. And in one of those monologues that I had, I reminded people that when you talk about the role of the children, Dr. Wyatt, there were over 200,000 children who participated in the Civil Rights March.
In Birmingham,
It was almost
Alabama.
that we forgot that.
1963. What brought the power structure to the negotiation table was a component of that called Project C for confrontation.
Talk to me.
That's when the children from the high schools and elementary schools poured into the streets because their parents were being arrested and were being forced out of that movement. And Martin Luther King reluctantly, following Reverend Shuttlesworth, reluctantly agreed to have the children pour out of Parker High School and the other schools in Birmingham. That's what brought Bull Connor and the power structure in Birmingham to the negotiation table, to the extent to which they did negotiate. The children.
Well, I often say the children will lead the people. I think
Yeah.
if change is going to happen, it's going to happen because of the fearlessness of our children.
Yeah.
And we have to encourage them to be fearless, because at the end of the day, this is a world that we're going to leave in their hands, and we have to make certain that we do our part. And I think the whole idea of forgot Oliver, it's just the fact that we have these stories, but we don't share these stories with our children. And because the schoolhouses are stripping so much of who we are from the education component of it, they only can get it from us. And we're not sharing it. There are stories I hear on WBOK for the first time in my life.
Yeah.
Right?
James Bevel and Reverend Shuttlesworth were principally responsible for the children's component in that movement. And yes, the children were arrested. Yes, they were put in pig pens and in chicken coops as opposed to jail. Yes, but the children were involved at every level because remember now, in 1963, you had the little girls who were murdered September 15th in the 16th Street Baptist Church because the children were suffering too.
Yes.
And our children have to recognize we're suffering. They are too. And when a human being recognizes that they're suffering, then that human being, regardless of age, will respond to that and resist.
I also believe that we have to start engaging children and enlightening them on their conditions and how it's directly connected to this idea of civic duty and responsibility. The conditions you're living in that makes you have to pick that gun up, the conditions you're living in that makes you have to do the things you're doing just to put food on the table is a direct result of your civic disengagement, because we don't know that voting for a governor or voting for a mayor or a city council or a school board member has a direct impact on our quality of living. Though you can elect the wrong person and be in purgatory for the next 4 years.
Yeah, if not hell.
If not hell.
So we also, I mean, history is so important. The Black Panthers in the Desire Project area, the Piety Street, Louisa Street corridor, Desire, they were salvaged. They were going to be massacred. When the police first went in on them, it was the young people in that community that surrounded the building they were in.
Is it true they brought a tank?
They brought a anti-personnel vehicle, yes, AKA tank. Yeah, they did. They did. And it was the young people, teenagers, people who were at Dunn Elementary School, Carver Elementary School, Edwards and Carver Jr.
Remember all of the black ribbons we put on our?
You had to,
yeah,
because the rumor was that the Panthers would burn your house down if you did not hang a black ribbon or some solidarity.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
And
that's
Dr.
right.
Robertson, the things you're explaining now can get us killed now, because they're making laws now that you protest. Yeah. There's a law that if a motorist feels threatened, they can put the foot on the gas and run you right on over.
Throw you over.
Absolutely.
The bridge.
Absolutely.
If you're on the bridge.
And talking about a tank, one of the last protests that I participated in Jefferson Parish, they brought out a tank. Yeah. And like war gear.
Yeah.
And it was almost like we were not in these United States of America, let alone Jefferson Parish.
These mobilization efforts, though they're needed, they aren't always easy. You talked about it, and you brought back to memory a lot of historical notes that many of us have forgotten. There was a serious discussion between Shuttlesworth, Lewis, and Dr. King about not using the kids. They weren't always on the same page. So today, right, those were challenges yesterday, because it could have affected their lives, right? The parents were already jailed, or beaten, or dogged, or water hosed down. Yeah. What are the challenges today? Are they the same? Are they different? Or is it a combination?
No, they're almost exactly the same. There are slight improvements. There have been slight improvements made, but they're pretty much the same. When you look at statistics, for example, we're in pretty much the same boat that we've been in. We have, of course, this view of integration. I would call it desegregation. Now, let's look at what happened recently.
And why? Explain why you call it something different.
Well, various communities joined forces to restrict our access to places like LSU now. North Carolina State.
Yes.
Harvard, North Carolina State were those schools that were the litmus test. The Asian community and Caucasian communities joined together to remove preferential treatment relative to black students getting into these schools. Ward Conley, average students with decent grades. Now, the civilian student can't get into these schools now, but our athletes can. Our football players can. Our basketball players can. Our track athletes can. And the few of us who play tennis maybe. That's not integration. Integration is for everyone to have a fair shake to go in and to matriculate without pressure and without prejudice.
You say it's desegregation.
This is desegregation. We're still there. We're there, but are
sounds
we
like the
truly
school system
integrated?
here.
It sounds like the United States.
Yes, it does.
On every level.
At every level.
So now there's a boom that has occurred with some black colleges as a result of what happened in the courts, in the Supreme Court, relative to restricting the presence of qualified students, black students, on these campuses. Clark Atlanta University, 45,000 applications. 45,000, more than the University of Georgia. 45,000, I would submit to you 40,000 were from black students. Well, okay, 44,000 might have been from black
They couldn't
students.
even house all those.
What? You can't accommodate 45,000. Howard, more than that. Tennessee State last year had a similar increase, and so they accepted more students they could accommodate. They put them in dorms that should not have been opened. The state of Tennessee came in, using that as an excuse, and removed their board and replaced their board with folks that some people would say are puppets. So we are facing the same types of challenges that we have always faced. It's an ebb and flow. Some decades, things seem to improve, but soon thereafter, not. Barack Obama was elected president. Soon thereafter, you started seeing these overly aggressive police actions.
Dr. Amity predicted the pushback after the election of Barack Obama, and then subsequently it happened.
And when we did our Zooms that you expertly moderated, the theme was we have to be careful because they're over-policing black bodies and under-policing black communities. These issues continue.
Well, let's go to the lines. Very powerful conversation. Mr. James, you're on with Dr. Wyatt and Dr. Rob and OT. Mr.
Good
James.
morning to all. Good morning to all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Doctor, you had brought up those that boom in the institutions of higher learning towards the black area, the HBC area of things, and I want you to highlight also the fact that while they graduate the most in medical law, the professional aspect of things, those dollars that should be matriculating down, that trickle-down effect is not happening at those universities. They're pulling the Brett Favre and diverting funds toward the big universities, those Georgias and those Tennessees. So that's another avenue of shortchanging our community. I'm going to hang up and listen. Very interesting topic.
Thank you, Mr. James. But people are listening.
Brother James is absolutely correct. I'm sure you all have seen within 2024, this information was released. The federal government has identified that the state of Louisiana owes Southern over $1 billion.
Yes. He just said it on the floor.
That's right. Owes Grambling over $1 billion. When you talk about FAM and Tennessee State, plus billion dollars. You've underfunded intentionally these universities. These universities, despite that, have continued to produce. Anyway, we do with you. You give us pig guts, and we create chitlins. So we have done it but if there's any inkling of fairness, which we know that's
doesn't exist,
not necessarily the case, you would see how this community could prosper, how the entire community would prosper, not just the black community, the entire community.
So then I have to ask this question, and you, Dr. Wyatt, especially given your role as educators. At every point in history, when we've responded, there's been a response to that action. There's been pushback.
They prepare for us to respond. They prepare, yes.
So, given what you're trying to do in rally, educate, engage, encourage, like Dr. Amity predicted, that there would be pushback after the election of Barack Obama, and he rightfully predicted that the country would go in a whole opposite direction. What are you anticipating as a historian? What are you anticipating now? What should we be prepared for?
The same exact response, because you see it now.
Yes,
it's happening now. They're showing you what they're willing to do.
Can you stay with us a little longer?
Yes.
Because the people are enjoying you. I wanted to tell you that in the comments. They said they're enjoying Dr. Rob.
Wow.
We got you locked up now. Is that okay, Dr. Rob?
Hey, brother, let me know.
All right. Bring us to break, Dr. Wyatt.
Listen, when we come back, more with Dr. Clyde Robertson on WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
That's right. It's party time each and every Sunday night at 7 p.m. on WBOK. It's the Throwback Throwdown with DJ Wick as he brings you the best in old school from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and the early 2Ks. Plus, the party goes to another level at 9 p.m. with the Throwback Throwdown Party Mix to round out the night. It's the Throwback Throwdown Sunday nights at 7 p.m. on WBOK 1230 AM and on the World Wide Web at WBOK1230.com.
I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. The negligent homicide charge a state trooper faced in the death of Ronald Green has been dropped. State prosecutors moved to drop the charge Thursday as autopsy reports are unable to prove the exact cause of death. Several things contributed, but with no definitive cause, the negligent homicide charge is difficult to deliver. 2 officers involved in Green's death still face charges of felony malfeasance. 3 people have died in Florida and Georgia as now Tropical Storm Helene slams the southeast with heavy rain and powerful winds. The storm made landfall last night as a Category 4 hurricane. A storm surge warning is in place for almost all of Florida's west coast, and officials, including some local organizations, are already on hand to help once the storm passes. And several local nonprofits are ready to lend a hand to areas affected by Helene. New Orleans nonprofit SBP is one of those groups, along with One Voice NOLA, who will leave Saturday. They're ready to provide hot meals for people caught in Helene's path. Both nonprofits are ready to send crews to assist in recovery efforts as soon as the roadways are safe to travel. Now, this Sunday, one of the best rivalries in the NFL will kick off once again. Of course, we're talking about the Saints versus the Falcons. And that highly anticipated game is being closely watched by both teams and the fans who are planning to make the trip to Atlanta. So far, that game is still scheduled to be played in Atlanta, but the NFL says inclement weather could change those plans because of Helene. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK.
Welcome back to school, families and scholars. NOLA Public Schools is excited to kick off another exciting year of learning, growth, and success. Our dedicated teachers have been preparing all summer to provide an engaging and enriching experience for every student. Let's embrace new challenges, celebrate achievements, and make this school year the best one yet. Stay connected with your school and NOLA PS by visiting our social media channels. Here's to a year filled with curiosity, creativity, and community. Attend today, achieve tomorrow.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
Welcome to Chemical of the Month, a service of the community scientist and Rise St. James. This month, we're focusing on lead, a heavy metal that's dense, soft, and poses serious health risks. In Cancer Alley, lead exposure from industrial emissions or contaminated soil can significantly increase cancer risks and other health problems. Stay informed and protect your health. For more information, visit risestjames.org.
New Orleans Burlesque is back. The Red Light District, located on the second floor of your New Orleans headquarters by Nice Guys, presents a captivating, international, award-winning burlesque experience that will leave you breathless. Indulge in the sounds of our Grammy Award-winning quartet and exceptional food pairings each and every Saturday. To purchase tickets, visit Eventbrite.com, and remember, what happens in the Red Light District stays in the Red Light District.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK 1230 AM.
And we are back. I am Dr. Ashanta Wise, sitting next to the incomparable OT. And in studio with us is Dr. Clyde Robertson, talking all things civic engagement here with us today. And we're going...
And why did the chicken cross the road?
Listen, this is, we're going to give away some Fried Chicken Fest tickets.
Yeah.
And you would have to be tuning in to win the tickets because Dr. Clyde is going to drop some information on us. And if you could answer the question properly, you can call in with the right answer. We have a pair of Fried Chicken Fest tickets for you.
And the chicken crossed the road because the Fried Chicken Fest was on the side he was walking on, right? So for the first pair of tickets, and we're going to give away two pair, some Black History facts, right? So if someone can call in and answer what question, Dr. Rob?
Well, one that we actually just discussed.
Come on.
In 1963, there were young girls killed.
Don't give them the answer now.
At a church in Birmingham, Alabama. What's the name of that church?
Oh, I know that.
504-582-9422.
And while we wait for the callers, we have
Right.
another voter registration jamboree happening. It's been put on by the College Communities of Care, which is the Collective Action Responsibility Engagement Presents Voter Registration Jamboree. It'll take place at the Broadside, 600 North Broad Avenue, Sunday, October 6th, 3 to 9 p.m. It's free, all ages. Transportation will be provided. There will be music by Loyola and Tulane bands. There will be poetry and spoken word. And this will be a collective of community from Loyola, Tulane, Xavier, Dillard, and SUNO. And they have art installations by Xavier University. So if you want to come out to the voter registration jamboree taking place on October the 6th at the Broadside, 600 North Broad Avenue, 3 to 9 p.m., free to all ages.
So what was the name of the church. I like this, man. and the chicken it wasn't church's chicken.
And it
that
wasn't
the name of the church, right? That wasn't the name of the church. So don't call him my cousin Lil Herb. Lil Herb text me, was it church chicken?
Ooh, somebody called him. Miss Pamela said, give me them tickets.
No, let's go. It wasn't. Come on, Lil Herb. Boy, my cousin, something else. Line number 1. Miss Pamela, you're on with Dr. Rob.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sister.
Was it the 16th Street Baptist Church?
The 16th Street Baptist Church.
She gonna say that like she didn't know that. Miss Pamela was trying to be coy just now. She knew she was getting those
She's
tickets.
going to the Chicken Fest.
Hey, Miss Pam. Miss Pam. Google.
We ain't mad at her.
Oh, God.
Oh, hey.
I'm happy as a feline.
Oh, Miss Pam. Thank you. Well, you are the winner. Hold on, because Nyron's going to get all of your information, and you can get your tickets. And, guys, if you haven't been to the Fried Chicken Festival, I know I'm going to be a judge this year. I don't know if they asked Dr. White or
They
not.
should.
Because she should be a judge this
I
year.
like chicken.
Let me say this. First name D, last name Licious. Right? Miss Pam, anything else you want to say to Dr. Rob before you
I am enjoying you, Doctor. Thank you so much for all this information that our ears need to hear from heaven.
Thank you there,
well,
sister.
thank you for listening, Miss Pamela.
So hold on.
And enjoy the festival, sister.
Right.
Enjoy the fest.
Right. You know what this conversation is proving, right? Especially me being you guys are invoking so much stuff that I already knew that had been really cast aside that would normally be continued because we'd have those conversations in the house with the family, with the community. So much more access to information, but so little substantive conversations, Dr. Robinson, Dr. Wyatt?
I tell my students all the time, when I taught at Tuskegee, it was frowned upon for the students to use their cell phones in class. I thought that was ludicrous. Because there is, with these phones, there's no such thing as I don't know.
No.
When I ask
So
a
you
question,
encourage
oh
that.
yes,
Absolutely.
Of course, the
Absolutely.
world is at your fingertips.
Which is also why, Dr. Robertson, that they're banning the use of they're taking the access of the phones away from the students now. They're banning that now. When there's so much technology that you can incorporate your cell phone with to do polls and checks for understanding using your cell phone, but they're taking that away from the
question.
classrooms.
And I understand the dangers of AI.
Absolutely.
I understand how AI can impede upon someone's progress in terms of using it as a cheating tool.
Yes.
But there's too much technology jammed into these portable units that you could put in your pocket to ban this from the classroom structure, in my humble opinion.
I second it.
Yeah, I think Donatus King, one of our great attorneys here, former president of NAACP, when he ran for mayor, what was his famous comment that he made when someone asked him a question? He said, "Google me."
Google, Google me.
He said,
Google me.
Google me.
That's right.
I'm watching history begin to repeat itself. Marcellus Williams was just executed under a mountain of evidence that could have exonerated him. Dr. Wyatt started that conversation this week. Many of us started to text for his
97016. That's all we needed
but
to
they
do.
executed him anyway. These are the kind of things that civic engagement, involvement, people voting, participating, it would have had an impact on who the Missouri Attorney General was. Would have had an impact on who the governor, would have had an impact on who was appointed to the Supreme Court.
Yes.
And most importantly, would have had an impact on whether this man would be alive today or even incarcerated still.
Because what people also neglect to realize is he spent 20 years on death row for a crime that he didn't commit. And he wasn't asking for anything other than a stay to say, let's look at the evidence. That's what the Innocence Project was pushing for, a stay.
He even agreed to stay in
for life.
Jail.
Yes. Yes, and they still did it anyway. So that tells you that this has nothing to do with justice. This has everything to do with power. And absolute power corrupts absolutely. That is what happened here.
The over-policing of black bodies.
Absolutely, and the under-policing of their communities.
And the under-policing of our communities.
Yes.
It was as significant a topic when we did it 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and it is even more so today. And if Vice President Harris is elected, then I predict a return to those overly aggressive tactics.
Then how do we prepare?
And suppression. We prepare by being knowledgeable first and foremost about this actually being a thing. This actually occurs. Now, you've got people who are subjugated, who understand this issue, but then you have others of us whose heads are underneath the sand. The continued education process, we just can't stop because someone wins the presidency or of our choosing.
Yes.
Or someone becomes the mayor of our choosing. Okay, our job is done and we relax.
Because we know they create contingency plans for those efforts.
And
they
so,
do it.
And so those communities that are impacted upon by those contingency
Yes.
plans must have contingency plans.
Absolutely.
The work should never stop. And everybody has a part to play. The educator, the politician, the activist, the janitor. Everybody has a part to play.
Yes.
Dr. Robinson, the late Amos Wilson, Neely Fuller Jr., some of our great mental health psychologists, but behavior specialists, social scientists, decades ago said that the African American community needed a new code of conduct. What did they mean by that?
In my estimation, I go to Malefia Sante, Nikki Giovanni, and those types, Maulana Karenga.
I was just thinking
we need to recognize who and whose we are first and foremost. I think what we have done over the years is we've become American. To the exclusion of who we really are. Okay. Yes, we are born in the United States, but we've never really been accepted. I don't have to say this. I mean, people know this, as true Americans. First, we have to recognize that Argentinians are Americans. Mexicans are Americans. Canadians are Americans because you are in the shelf, the North American continent, the Central America, South America. Those are Americans too. Right. Our country is the United States of America. And so we first have to recognize that we are citizens of the world. Too many of us don't look at ourselves as being part and parcel of this greater world. And if you isolate yourself to a particular space, place, and time, then you are isolated. That you won't find allies elsewhere. We need allies. And arguably, two of our greatest leaders and spokespersons, Malcolm and Martin, recognized the importance of having allies external, because that's where the pressure could be applied. If you don't have allies in an environment where you are looked at as the outsider, then anything and everything could happen to you, and normally does. So we have to recognize that also that we are amendments to the Constitution.
So let's stay there for a minute. Fred Hampton, right? His conversations with poor whites, and many whites that he would reach out.
Yeah.
His conversation he went to with what he thought would have been a group of racists and say, hey, hold on a second.
Yeah.
We got something in common. How important is, if you look at the history of the struggle, in many cases we've had allies come from those groups too who understood that we had a common purpose. How important is that today?
Because they too are subjugated against.
Joe the Plumber too.
Joe the Plumber. It goes back to Bacon's rebellion in New York. Bacon's rebellion in New York, where poor whites enslaved blacks, because yes, there was enslavement in the Northeast. There was enslaved. Sojourner Truth was enslaved up in in Massachusetts, New England. She was enslaved in New England. I don't think it was might have been New Hampshire. I can't remember the colony. But Sojourner Truth was enslaved up there. There was slavery in the North as well. In Bacon's rebellion, poor whites and blacks joined together to rebel against the power structure. From that time moving, which was British, from that time moving forward, a concerted effort was made to separate these two entities, which had as much in common.
Theodore Allen's The Invention of the White Race?
Yes, yes. And so what we have to recognize is that, one, we must be unified. There are more things that, I'm talking about as black people, that unify us. There are more elements that unify us than that keeps us apart. But two, there are folks, internal and external to this country, who are also willing to be allies with us. And we have to recognize that, because, again, without allies in this environment, you are standing alone against a tidal wave. And knowledge. We continue to have to recreate the wheel when a perfectly round wheel already exists. All we have to do is look a few blocks away.
So how do you
and
manage?
it's there.
How do you manage the misinformation on social media? Or in many cases, the outright lies. And you both are educators, right? It is so difficult today. And I tell folks as a government official, I'll hear people bring stuff or protest on stuff that ain't nowhere near the facts of what really is about to happen. How do you manage that?
Carter G. Woodson talked about that in his monumental book, The Miseducation of the Negro, which is a must-read and is as pertinent today as it was when it was published. We have to recognize that there's going to be that concerted effort to misinform and misalign and maladjust people. That's a concerted effort. That's age old. We have to match that with a greater intensity. That's why education is so important. That's why reading is so important. Reading is fundamental. That is why unifying communities is so important. That's why after-school experiences are so important.
And everything that he's saying is so important in the state of Louisiana is being stripped. That's why the literacy rates are in the trash. That's why the school systems are in the trash, because they understand the strength in education.
And we cannot afford to surrender our children 8 hours a day to people who disrespect and disregard them. 8 hours a day.
But Dr. Robinson, when we were coming up, there were always several after-school programs. And no kids, unless you're buying something or you got to pay for a special tutor, which money most families don't have. What happened to the after-school programs?
They went the way of the
school.
They went the way of the dinosaur. Many of the schoolhouses were used for more than just 8 hours a day education. Again, we can harken back to Jerome Smith and Tambourine and Fans. We could before the Treme Center was built, there was a school on that site, McDonough 41. Many people don't remember Mac 41, the Huskies. When that school was laid low, it was the advocacy of Jerome Smith and others that brought the Treme Center there. And look at what the Treme Center, you can learn how to swim, you can learn how to read, self-defense. All of these things, the athletic program with Tambourine and Fan. I remember Tambourine and Fan when we were coming up, had one of the toughest football teams.
It was also one of the best summer league, basketball leagues that we
basketball
played in.
Leagues.
College, high school would all play in the same summer league.
And so not only was your body taken care of, but so was your mind. And then they fed folks. So, and they also educated you culturally. The quintessential example of a tambourine and fan product is the living legend Fred Johnson.
So let's get back to Reverend Calhoun's comment. And you as a historian, and Dr. Wyatt, you as an educator, those things that worked, can we get back to them?
I believe we can. We have to.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to. And that's this idea of what Dr. Robertson is saying, where the unification has to come in within our own communities, because everything that we're looking for or asking people for, we already have it right here. We have everything we need in the Black community, but we're working in silos.
Yeah.
Everybody's in their own corner doing the work. We need to come together and collectively do the work.
Let's go to the lines. First Lady at WBOK, Miss Jones, you're on with Dr. Wyatt, OT, and Dr.
Good
Rod.
morning
Good
to
morning.
you, Dr. Wyatt and Dr. Clyde Robertson.
Good morning, Sister
Remember
Jones.
you with Jeremiah Blunt and the African American History Club.
That's right,
in
Brother
school.
Jay Blunt.
Yes, I have to touch base with him. Everything
Dr.
and
Rob,
more.
you're invoking some memories out here
Yeah.
on the show this morning.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. He was a TFA who was completely successful, got all the requirements, but I don't know, somehow he left. He was with us for about 10 years, maybe.
Yes,
I don't know more. And I remember he instilled in them so much until one of the little elementary school girl went across the street to high school, and she came back to get his materials to give to her teacher to continue doing what he's doing in high school. He didn't take them to Disney World making a rich richer. He brought them to a Dr. King Center, Hotel Lorraine in Tennessee, to a center space. He didn't give the rich their money, their own money. So he did all of those. But right now, I think just continually more groups read, learn to read. Don't throw away your books and depend on the technology, because artificial intelligence, I call it artificial ignorance sometimes, because that's what they do.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, it's just disheartening, and to tell about voting, I say just get to the nitty gritty. I'm always using
Miss
this
Jones,
as an
Miss Jones
example.
is a former educator. I asked Reverend Calhoun this. What is something you think we can do to reach the younger people? If you would say do this or that quickly, we got 30 seconds left. What would you say is something we can try to do?
We have to infuse everything with what they're doing and try to eliminate all of the junk that they've been presented into all these years.
Okay, how do you deconstruct? That's interesting, though. Thank you, Ms. Jones. We're at break time right now.
Okay.
And we
Good talking
appreciate you.
with Dr. Robinson and Dr. Wyatt.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Jones.
And I had never thought about that. If people have been programmed, how do you deprogram?
Mhm.
Interesting.
Education.
Yeah. Just teach them. It ain't that difficult.
Education.
Go ahead. Hey, when you're sitting between two big brains, sometimes
This big head has to go for something. This big head has to be
we're gonna take
for
a break,
something.
and when we come back, man, thank you so much.
No problem,
This has
brother.
been I'm walking down memory lane. A lot of stuff that we've forgotten. But when we come back, it's why did the chicken cross the road again, right? Right? We're gonna ask another question.
And we're waiting on another caller.
It's gonna be another Black History question from
All right.
Dr. Rod.
Uh-huh. All right.
And whoever calls and answers the question correctly gets 2 chickens to the Fried Chicken Festival. Why the chicken cross? I say why the fried chicken cross the road?
Because they had a whole bunch of boots with a
They had
whole bunch of chicken.
A whole bunch.
And he wanted to try them
A
all.
bunch of chickens that are fried. We're WBOK 1230 a.m. Whose station?
Our station,
And
because it's
we
what New Orleans is
talking
talking about.
about it.
Yeah.
After the
what
break,
New
we'll
Orleans
be
is
back,
talking
guys.
about.
This is your news update for WBOK 1230 AM from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Today is another breezy day. Wind speeds will be 10 to 15 miles per hour, but at least it'll be feeling good. Winds coming out of the north. We'll also stay dry for the next several days. Highs today will be into the mid 80s, and we'll see upper 80s for the weekend. Also, the weekend going to feel amazing, as well as dew points are still on the low side. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
WBOK and LCMC Health are proud to present the Keeping You Well Cafe, 60 minutes of LCMC Health, where doctors speak directly to the people of New Orleans. LCMC Health is committed to improving the quality of health care in the New Orleans area, the Gulf South, and beyond. The Keeping You Well Cafe is another way for LCMC Health to engage with the community. Over the next few months, LCMC Health will join WBOK and local businesses to answer your health and wellness questions. Through this partnership, LCMC Health will provide resources to the community, including subject matter experts from the hospitals that will share expertise on health concerns and wellness practices to help you live your best life. Tune in to WBOK during the last hour of the reality check, or catch us at lcmchealth.org and follow us on social media.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana companies through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about what the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation does, please visit www.jazzandheritage.org.
Hey everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Bryant Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK 1230 AM.
We are back. Yeah, this is Fabulous Friday.
Yeah. Fabulous fried chicken Friday.
Freedom Friday.
Freedom Friday.
Fried chicken Friday. We're giving away them tickets.
Dr. Rob.
Yes, sir.
You come in and set this thing on fire, right? But you know what? This conversation, this effort has taught me is that we need more conversations like this to invoke memory and thought, right?
To remind us who we are.
And to remind us who we are.
Remind us.
So now, for our listening audience, 504-582-9422, another Black History fact from Dr. Rob, and whoever calls with the right answer wins the 2 tickets to the Fried Chicken Festival.
All right. 1957. Martin Luther King had just completed a very successful boycott and protest in Montgomery, Alabama.
Oh, I know that.
He created an organization called the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the SCLC. In what city was the SCLC created?
Oh, that's a good question.
504-582-9422. I know the answer, but that's a great question.
You can't call in, Oliver. Put your cell phone down.
You can't. Why did Oliver cross the road to go get the Fried Chicken
go get
Festival?
them tickets.
To go get them tickets. Say it one more time.
In what city was the SCLC created?
2, a pair of tickets to the Fried Chicken Festival.
Come on now. Uh-oh, somebody on the phone.
No doubt it. Doc, man, first of all, thank you, man. You know, I think about our childhood coming up, right? And
you got a competition going on.
It's on fire.
You got a competition going on. Now you got to play any, many, mo.
Well, we seem like we got somebody to beat everybody to the punch.
Uh-huh.
It really and you know, but I think about the group and associate. We had athletes, intellectuals, right? Folk who've gone on in business. It was a smorgasbord of friendship, right?
Yeah. From all over the city.
From all over the city. we were in the lower 9. You went Punch Train Park. Raymond Garden and them was from up
right around the corner.
Right around the corner.
Yeah.
You know, you had the Morials, Perch.
Around the corner.
The Douglases, Nils.
Across the park.
Across the Henrys.
Yeah, that's right. Around the corner.
Around the corner.
Yeah.
Kids don't seem to experience that anymore. In many cases, they're more restricted to their neighborhood than ever.
Well, we didn't have, and while people threw hands, there was, there was some conflict.
You did that.
We didn't have the threat of loss of life.
Because when you throw hands, you live to fight another day.
You fought another day.
Mm-hmm.
So on Sundays, when the A-class basketball players would meet uptown at that outdoor, we'd go.
Lawrence Square.
No fighting. No,
Right.
we'd go and watch the A-class basketball players
OT and I
like
were
OT.
talking about when the neighborhoods would compete, when the official would come to the Desire, and they would have those basketball games.
Let's go to line. Line number 1, Miss Jacqueline. You're on with Dr. Robinson.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm enjoying the show.
Thank you.
And I
Good
think
morning.
I have the answer to your question.
Let's hear
Yes,
it.
ma'am.
It started in New Orleans.
That's right.
Drum roll. Let's go, Miss. Wait. Hey,
You're absolutely correct.
Hold on, wait. Miss Jacqueline, don't hang up yet, right? You know, I pay attention. I pay attention to everything, right? And I got to say something, right? See all of this.
He got to say something.
You see all of this gender discrimination happening out here? The men dominate the conversation every day we hear. As soon as we start giving away stuff, look at all the women on the call now. Y'all taking all the prizes,
now let
Miss
me defend.
Jacqueline.
Now let me defend the women.
Okay.
Because the man answered the question, and the woman provided the answer. That's how the world ought to
I'm
work.
keep my mouth shut.
The women are the answer. Take that as you will.
That's a drop the mic. Miss Jacqueline, anything you want to add before you go?
I'm just enjoying the show, and I love the panel, and I'm glad Dr. White is on. She's a good asset to the station.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Miss Jacqueline. Hold on so he can get
You're
your
welcome.
information. All right. Line number 3, Miss Kathy.
Come on, Miss Kathy. Come on, the women are the answer.
Miss Kathy. Miss Kathy, you were calling to answer the question?
Did we lose her?
Hello, Miss Kathy.
Miss Kathy said y'all done gave them tickets away already. I might well just hang up.
Good morning, Piper. Were you calling to answer the question?
I was. Would I get it?
Hey, look,
city.
We're gonna do it again.
What did I get for the location? 1 ticket, a parking pass, something.
Hey, look, hold on so Nairi can negotiate with you. Miss Kathy, I was going to tell you, hold on. You know, and
because we love the fact that you called in.
And barter with our producer. Yeah, just because you called in. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for calling in.
Yeah, but enjoying the show, enjoying the topic.
All right, Piper, hold on. Back to the rally.
The people love you, Dr. Rob. They said this was a great show. They love you.
I love the people.
Hey, man, let me say this, right? And we've been knowing each other all our lives.
Long time, yeah.
Your father was an iconic figure.
Thank
I'd get
you, brother.
dropped off in y'all neighborhood just to know that I was in a good space. As a kid. I am so proud of you.
Well, thank you.
Come on, black man. Love on that black man.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
And what you have done, right? Because Dr. Rob would hang around the athletes, right, and encourage us. And he was always you could always sense that he was older, more
and wiser,
and wiser,
yeah,
than we were. And I just remember you being foundational in our lives.
Dr. Rob, you smelling those flowers? You smell them?
I really do.
Come on now, you got to give people their flowers while they can smell them. Do you smell them?
I can name the crew, and most of them are successful. We've lost some.
Yeah.
But most are successful.
Your cousin Dust, we found out on the radio that Dust passed. I played against Dust. I wasn't just around the athletes. I was one.
Come on.
Absolutely.
I was one.
Absolutely. But we went on to go to college.
No question.
You went on and got degrees.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we it was a time when athletics and social responsibility were paired.
Yes.
I can remember I played in a football game against Lakeview, Pontchartrain Park, when Mark Morial kicked a 25-yard that was unheard
field
of.
goal to win.
Look at this. This is Black
That's
history.
right.
This is Black history going
and
on
never
in front of
practiced
me.
it.
That's right.
Never practiced it in the game and won the game. So
and
you
Barry
know,
Gonzalez struck out 19 people against
and was throwing 30 miles an hour as a 12-year-old. So you know, we all over the city we had these relationships. My boy Dust at the St. Bernard, Zeno at the St. Bernard. We were all tight. We competed against one another, but we didn't fight against one another.
No, we didn't.
So I was able to go to the Magnolia. We were able to go to the St. Thomas.
The Roosevelt tournament at the Callio.
That's right. The Shakespeare Fest, but not just that, but the Shakespeare football.
The A.L. Davis Park.
Absolutely.
At what is now A.L. Davis. It was
Park.
Shakespeare then. The Shakespeare Bowl.
Right.
You know, the Pontchartrain Park was invited. The Penn Park, Sampson Park. We'd play against and all these
the Turkey
kids.
Bowl in Sampson, right?
The Turkey Bowl.
Every Thanksgiving.
And we developed friendships with people,
yes,
not just adversarial relationships. We developed lifelong bonds. Lifelong bonds, you know.
Maybe that's what the Sixth Ward could help bring back, huh?
Ain't no
when
doubt
they
about it.
unify all these culture bearers.
Doc, bring us home and one more announcement.
Well, everyone is cordially invited to attend, encouraged to attend on October 1st, 2024 from 10 until 12 in the Millie Charles School of Social Work, 6801 Suno Knights Drive, formerly known as Press Drive. The Election 2024 pep rally, vote as if your life depends on it, because
it absolutely
does.
And the Congressman Troy Carter will be one of the esteemed speakers.
Is the principal speaker.
Not the side porch or the back porch,
but the front
That's
porch.
right.
Graylin and Kimber on the front porch.
Absolutely.
Wow, WBOK 1230 AM.
What New Orleans is talking
Whose
about.
station?
Our station.
Until this month over, baby, it's still your station. Happy birthday, everybody. Born
Yeah,
in this
and that
month.
Virgo Libra season.
Yeah. See you for lunch.